What's up, YouTube? It's me, the Artisan MC, and today I'm going to give you my reaction to the Acolyte episode 6. Well, it seems like we clocked in another episode that was mostly boring and pretty dumb. Now, I say that with a little bit of reservation because some things in this episode actually work for me. We got a little bit of a reveal from Chimere about his past a little bit. We still didn't get anything about where he came from, but we at least found out a little bit about where he was trained and what he wants to do, his desire, his end. Now, the fact that it took 6 episodes to get to this point, to get that little bit, is a bit irritating. But the main part you get in this episode is the role reversals of May and Osha being with each other's masters and getting each master confiding a little bit in that acolyte. Now, for the most part, Chimere takes Osha to some unnamed planet. To me, it looks like Octu. It does. Since it's supposedly earlier in the timeline, could have been a lot greener. But it looks like Octu to me. And he has a little cavern hideout that he has left her in while he kind of baits her, in a sense, into having some free reign and having a conversation with him. Now, most of this is dumb as hell to me because, for one, he senses her flat out. He knows who she is, but he senses her following him. Now, meanwhile, back on the Jedi ship with Master Soul and May, Soul does not sense May at all, which is dumb as hell to me. This can't go on very long. And at the point to where the ship takes off, they get off into space, or at least into orbit, and he's on the ship with her, giving her instructions to take over the controls and stuff like that. Bruh, you can't tell me you're this dumb in the Force. You can't tell me that. I don't, and I'm not giving the excuse to, oh, he's just so overcome with emotions. Bullshit. Bullshit. She came up behind him with dagger drawn to kill him. He should have sensed that. This whole scenario is bogus. It's bogus as hell. And watching it, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm having to fake like this is not bullshit to sit there and watch it. Now, beyond that, once Soul and May are in space, they're able to send a message or try to get a message off to the Jedi High Council about what has happened. But inexplicably, communications are bad and he can't get a message through, and all of a sudden the ship breaks down. Why? The power of plot compels you. I don't. It's just dumb. And now they are adrift in orbit, and Soul is looking to who he believes is Osha to fix the ship. Now, luckily, Basil is on board with Pip's head. And also, luckily, Basil finds a Pip port to leave Pip plugged in so May can find Pip and discover a body that will work for him and plug him back in. Why they have these laying around, I don't fucking know. because nobody else is carrying a pip droid or whatever you call it. It's just dumb, dude. So she is able to give Pip a C3PO treatment and reboot him to the dark side or his default settings. So now he will help her. Basil does try to fight May, which is some of the most ridiculous shit that I have seen ever. I'm serious. That was just dumb, dude. It was just dumb. I can't think of anything dumber outside of something happening maybe in a labyrinth or a Muppet movie or something. That was so ridiculous. I mean, I'm watching just like, oh my. Pretty much anything happening with Soul and May on the ship is, you might as well forget about it. It's dumb. It's fucking dumb. It's a waste. Now, I will say the actor playing Master Soul, he does have a moment where he is given some emotion that is really good. It does. But what is the point in a situation where you should automatically know this is not the same person you were talking to on the way here? It's not the same person you were talking to 10 minutes ago. He should know the difference. He's met both of these girls. He has, I would think, a force impression of both of them. It's just dumb. Now, the more interesting parts of this episode happen between Chimere, and Osha. Because he doesn't try to imprison her. He just talks to her in a very Sith manner, which is, I will just corrupt you with the truth. And he tells her the truth. Now, certain things that he does is too fucking obvious that he is trying to seduce her into being his acolyte, which is plain to see. But at the very least, he's telling her who he is, right? And getting her to confront herself and her own feelings. Now, there is mention of his headgear protecting you against lightsabers and acting as a sensory deprivation chamber so you can just be the Force, and something that the younglings would use at the Jedi Temple. That's what it's supposed to be, a facsimile of that. Well, that's all really interesting to me because it gives the sense that by putting on the helmet, he is wide open to the Force. He can hear nothing but the Force. So, in effect, like I said in my Hero's Journey Sunday, he was acting like the blind master Zatoichi. He was just being completely open with his senses and everything to the Force and just cutting these people down without looking at them necessarily. He was out there blind fury in that shit. And it's evident from some of the stances he takes, but that's what I thought. But from what he's saying here, that's how I take it. You can't really see well through those slits. And the mouth part is just for breathing or harmonics to disguise your voice. But other than that, he's just open to the Force completely. Okay, fine, whatever. That's a way to train. But if you think of a Force as Daredevil and his radar sense, he just cast a wider range for his radar. He could see everything without seeing. Now, all of this is happening with Chimere and Asha because he is letting her in a little bit, but confronting her a bit on her own shit. Now, at a point which is really silly, he shows his back to her after she's seen everything else about him and sees the scars on his back. And it's implied that his master threw him away, as he says, and basically that he was possibly cut down by a Jedi. Now, the interesting part to that could be why? Did you show some dark side leaning or something like that? But it made me think that his master initially could have been Master Venestra, is what I'm thinking. Because he just has slashes on his body. And he talks about being a youngling. Maybe that was Venestra's Padawan. And maybe that's why Soul senses something familiar in him, but not sure what it is. Or maybe he was Soul's Padawan at a point. I don't know. But the show is playing really coy with giving us anything really on who this guy is. But I had a thought about this while watching this episode. He ain't gonna make it out this series anyway, so it might not even matter who the hell he is. It may not matter. His backstory and everything else may not matter except as a point to further implicate Jedi of some wrongdoing. Possibly with the children. Isn't that funny? Be that as it may, that was the more interesting part, just their little conversation and getting to understand Kamir's viewpoint. But other than that, this was a whole bore. A whole bore. Now, the last part of this, and then I'll get out of here, is that Master Venestra does get alerted that there was a partial message that came in from Master Soul, but they lost contact, and the only part that they understood that his team was, deaded, casualties. And Master Venestra decides that she's going to go out to where they were and investigate because nobody else knew where they went except for her. Now, the dumb part in this was that you find out that Master Venestra apparently has hyperspace sickness. She is unsettled by traveling through hyperspace. And I'm like, well, that's a clever little note of stupidity. Who gives a... Are you serious? That was totally unnecessary. Unless it was a real thing that, they just want to throw in there to make her kind of cool. I don't know. It was dumb. Besides that, Master Venestra has her little complement of Jedis with her, and they head off to Kofar to the last known location of Soul's team. And by reaching Kofar, she is able to sense her way to Kalnaka's abode. Convenient, right? The rest of the Jedis that showed up there in the 2 episodes ago couldn't sense a damn thing about finding Kalnaka. They needed a whole badger-faced tracker. These Jedi show up, they don't need nobody. They got Master Venestra. She can just sense her way where to go in this forest. Convenient, right? Okay. The other thing we get to see is Master Venestra sensing some other things. Like, I don't know, umber moths. The little mimics in the trees. So you can get the reveal of her lightsaber whip, which just looks kind of dumb because she has an emitter and a whole long blade that snaps out, snaps back, and I'm like, I didn't like the Dial of Destiny. And I guess since you wanted a chick with a whip, I guess it only made sense for her to have one, right? Because you didn't get it in Dial of Destiny, KK. But you do get to get it in Star Wars, right? You gonna make sure you get that visual. Now, I'm not overly jazzed about this lightsaber whip because I already know there's lightsaber whips that exist. But the one lightsaber whip that I would want to see is the one wielded by Lumia. I'm not interested in seeing another one. So if you're not going to give me Lumia, quit it. Stop playing with things you don't understand. It looked ridiculous. It looked ridiculous. That's not going to be a high point that I thought was hella cool. I was just waiting for the moment to happen. And there it was. She killed a bug without thinking. Oh my God. It's a good thing she can sense it, and none of the rest of the Jedis in that party can sense a damn thing. This show is dumb as shit. And I'm disappointed I'm wasting this much time on it. So, with that, I'm going to get out of here. Thank God it's over. I can wait till next week. We only got 2 more episodes left. Hopefully they go by quickly. Yeah, that's it for my reaction to the Acolyte episode 6. Like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined. I'm artisanmc, and I will see you next time.